My dear students of 10th standard, I welcome you all in the name of Almighty to understand and get the knowledge of carbon and its compounds. Unit 11, chemistry lesson, carbon and its compounds already started. So for the further, we are going to move the types of the classification of organic compound based on the pattern of carbon chain. Before that, I would like to ask some questions regarding this carbon and its compounds, because already have learned about this lesson carbon and its compounds in your ninth standard. The 15th unit, carbon and its compounds. So you know about carbon and about the properties and basic chemical reactions about the carbon compounds. So first question, what is the symbol of carbon? What is the symbol of carbon? Carbon symbol C. You go write in capital letter C. It is a non-metal. It is a non-metal. And the word carbon is derived from the Latin word carbo. The meaning of carbo is coal, because the coal, there are different types of coal already have learned in 8th standard. In coal, carbon is the main constituent. Carbon is the main element. And Antoine Lavoisier only named carbon. Antoine Lavoisier. And also he only in 1772, a French scientist Antoine Lavoisier discovered the carbon. And see, the carbon proportion in the nature is very small, very minute. That is in the earth crust 0.032 percentage, and also in the atmosphere 0.3 percentage in the form of carbon dioxide. Also we learned that carbon is a very essential element. Carbon is essential element because without carbon there is no possibility for the existence of plants and animals, even including human being. That's why carbon chemistry is called living chemistry. Carbon chemistry is called living chemistry. So without carbon there is no existence of life in this world. Then what is the position of carbon? The position of carbon in the periodic table is, that is 14th group. 14th group, second period, 14th group, carbon. The first element is carbon, and based on that carbon, the family is called the carbon family. Carbon family. What is the atomic number of carbon? Carbon atomic number 6. Atomic number 6. Then atomic mass 12. So we can write C612. 6 as subscript, 12 as superscript in the form of illustration. Now, so already we learned carbon has the unique property to combine with the carbon atom, also with the other elements like hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur, to give varying length and shapes of a large number of organic compounds. So the compounds formed with carbon is made by covalent bond. So already you learned about the bonding. In 9th standard you learn about bond, that is ionic bond or electrovalent bond, covalent bond, and coordinate covalent bond. So ionic bond means a transfer of electrons. Covalent bond means a sharing of electron between the combining atom. Coordinate covalent means between the combining atom, any one of the atom going to donate, the other one going to share. So such a type of coordinate covalent. All this already have learned in the 9th standard. All these are 9th standard syllabus. So what is the unique nature of carbon? That is a catenation, tetravalency, multiple bonding. So because of this character, the specific peculiar property of carbon, it enables to combine with itself also with other elements like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur to form a large number of organic compounds. Also, we learned about the general properties, characteristics of organic compounds. What are general characteristics? That is, it possesses high molecular weight and complex structure and insoluble water. So, these compounds are only soluble in organic. Already we learned in the previous lesson. Like dissolves like. Like dissolves like. Chemistry normally used this term. What is the meaning of this one? See, polar compound dissolves in polar solvent. Non-polar compound dissolve in non-polar solvent. That is the meaning. That means, see, sodium chloride can be dissolved by water. At the same time, sodium chloride cannot be dissolved by ether or benzene. Similarly, this type of organic compound, carbon compounds can be dissolved using non-polar solvents like ether, carbon tetrachloride, toluene, and these compounds are highly inflammable. Highly, that means easily uh, burn in presence of oxygen, and they are less reactive compared to inorganic compounds, and the rate of reaction is very low, and covalent bonding between the combining atom, their melting and boiling points are very low, and they possess the phenomenon of isomerism. Isomerism means the same molecular formula having different structural formula and having the difference in the physical and chemical properties, and also possess the property of volatile, that is the tendency of substance to evaporate at normal temperature and pressure, and these compounds can be easily prepared in the laboratory. So these things already we have learned. Now we are going to study about the classification of organic compound based on the pattern of carbon chain. Pattern of carbon chain. So the carbon can be linked with other carbon in linear pattern, also in a closed pattern. Linear pattern, straight line pattern, also in the form of a circle, in the form of a sphere, closed pattern. So the significance of the classification is based on the structure, because the chemists not able to uh, going to synthesize, going to analyze the classification of organic compound. So it is very mystic of organic chemistry to a larger extent. That means it is very difficult to understand. So the chemists used only some systematic method of classification based on their structural arrangement. Based on the structural arrangement. So here see, chemists recognize that compounds having similar structure, having similar property. Similar structural compound possess similar property. Based on this only, here compounds are classified. There is carbon atom present in organic compounds are linked with each through covalent bond. Covalent bond means sharing the electrons between the combining atom. Sharing the electron between combining atom. So there are two types of classification based on the pattern. First one is acyclic or open chain. So this is a linear pattern of carbon chain. Carbon combined with another carbon atom using single covalent bond. Single covalent bond, and here it is saturated, also unsaturated. So there are two types in the open chain. There are two types in open chain: saturated compound, unsaturated. Saturated means between the combining carbon atom, single covalent bond is existing. That means single covalent bond means here that combining carbon atom share one pair of electron, and some compounds having double or triple bond also in the linear pattern, they formed compound. Those compounds are called unsaturated organic compounds, like propene, butene, pentene, propyne, ethane. Those compounds are formed by having double bond or triple bond. Then cyclic compounds, organic compounds with a chain of carbon atom in closed pattern. That is called a cyclic compound. Suppose the cyclic compound and in the chain only it contain carbon atom, that is called a carbocyclic. If it contain other atom also like nitrogen, sulfur, they are called a heterocyclic. So cyclic compounds into two types: carbocyclic, only carbon ring; heterocyclic, carbon along with some other element. Then carbocyclic compounds further classified into alicyclic and aromatic. Alicyclic means they are having one or more carbocyclic ring, may be saturated, unsaturated. The aromatic compounds mean they possess one or more benzene ring having alternate double bond between the carbon atom. So examples are given. You can see in the carbocyclic compounds, that is cyclobutane, that is alicyclic, and they possess here carbocyclic ring, one or more carbocyclic ring. Next, see benzene, that is aromatic, they possess alternate double bond between the carbon atom. Then the heterocyclic, see furan, pyridine, aniline. And in the heterocyclic, see these compounds possess other than carbon with oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur. Then when you go and check the classification organic compound in the graphical representation, you can easily understand here. See, so organic compounds are broadly classified into two types: open chain, closed chain. So what is open chain means that carbon atoms are linked in linear pattern to form chain. Carbon atoms are linked in linear pattern, straight line pattern. At the same time, cyclic means a chain of carbon atom in closed pattern. Chain of carbon atoms in closed pattern. It is a closed chain compound. So the open chain compound further classified into two types: saturated organic compound, unsaturated. Saturated means compound contain carbon single bond, ethane, propane, butane, like that. Then unsaturated compound means they possess a double or triple bond, ethene, propene, butene. So they end with the END. Also ethyne, propyne end with YNE. They are under the family of alkene and alkyne. Already learned in the previous 9th standard. What is the general formula of alkene? CnH2n. General formula of alkyne: CnH2n minus 2. CnH2n. So when we are going to give n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, we can derive many compounds under this alkene, alkyne, also alkyne. Then closed chain compound further classified into carbocyclic, heterocyclic. So carbocyclic means chain contain only carbon atom, only carbon ring. At the same time, heterocyclic means the carbon chain contain other atoms like oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur. This is called hetero, different kinds of atoms of element. That is the meaning of hetero. Example, pyridine, furan. Then carbocyclic further classified into alicyclic compound, aromatic compound. Alicyclic compound means that is compounds contain one or more carbocyclic ring. Example, cyclobutane, may be saturated or unsaturated. Aromatic compounds mean they possess one or more benzene ring. Benzene ring means that they possess alternate double bond between the carbon atom. They contain alternate double bond between carbon atom. That is benzene ring having the formula C6H6. C6H6. So when you go through this graphical representation, you can easily understand the classification of organic compound based on pattern of carbon chain, based on the linking of carbon with the other carbon or with the other element. That is open chain, closed chain. Open chain further classified saturated, unsaturated. Closed chain carbocyclic, heterocyclic. Then carbocyclic further classified into alicyclic and aromatic. You have to go through all this because we have a lot of structural pattern of organic compounds, and you have to write and practice the formula, and also this graphical representation you have to draw and practice in your rough notebook, then only it will be easy for you. So the next one, see classes of organic compound based on the kinds of atom, that we will learn in the next class. So you complete the classwork up to finished, up to the previous lesson, up to types of chemical reaction. Complete the classwork, all the short answer, detailed hard question, and that is solving the following problems. All the sums you have to write the question and answer neatly, and you will be asked to submit the classwork for checking, and also prepare the types of chemical reaction for the next test. So I wish you all the best. God bless you. Thank you.